Well, welcome guys, thanks for checking out this video. I thought I'd finally cover some content regarding Sega's 32-bit entry in the console battles, the Sega Saturn. I've never covered any content regarding this console and I'm pretty excited to do so. And if you manage to stick around in this video, perhaps you may find out if it's worth picking up today or even collecting for. Now this is just my personal intake, and of course I would love to hear from you guys of what your experience with this console itself in the comments box below. Now I remember personally in the early 90s I was still rocking out on my Mega Drive and I was loving that console a lot, but there was quite a lot of noise going around about the add-ons they were bringing out, like the Sega CD and the 32X. And I know personally, because of that budget they were asking for, that wasn't something I was really going to be looking forward to. And then in 1995 we got the Sega Saturn, an all-in-one CD console. So that was pretty exciting, a CD based console finally released an all-in-one solution. But then at the same time, PlayStation started to get into the market, and that's where all the hype led to. Now the Sega Saturn in the UK didn't do that well, especially in its initial release. Maybe it was because of the games that it came with. They did push the release date back, making the developers try and push out a game that wasn't really finished yet. We all know what that story is now these days. Now those release games did actually get polished up and released later, so when they actually got their game finalized, they just released it again as a remix or a finalized version, what they originally tended to be. But overshadowed by the big hype of the PlayStation, the Sega Saturn did get pushed back. So for me, I was looking forward to the Metal Gear Solids, the Tekken 3s and the Final Fantasy, thanks to Nintendo bringing out a cartridge-based console. Meaning that the games they were developing for, the companies like Squaresoft and Namco, they were building them on a CD based media, and then Nintendo were just like, we're still sticking the cartridge, so your game can't fit on a cartridge. So they all moved over to the PlayStation, but not the Saturn, unfortunately. A couple of more things to mention on how the console initially failed here in the UK is its weird and obscure trailers, but then again it was the 90s and how the console was engineered, making it hard for game developers to create games for. Word has it, very late in production they decided to slam in another processor, as they thought this would help with creating 3D based polygon games to keep up with the rest of the competition that is coming. A good example on game development struggles is how the classic and much appreciated Semnu series was originally designed to come out on the Saturn. Then as development took so long, they ended up starting it from scratch and making it for the next console, with a hefty introductional price of £400 compared to PlayStation 1 being £300 also did not help. Now back in the day I didn't really play this console a lot because of the PlayStation, but there were just a couple of titles that did stand out, and I remember a couple of my friends did have this console and I was thinking, what is this all about? But many years later I thought I'd get back into this, and the only games I could manage to find out in the wild at that time, these are them all together. We got the, of course, Virtual Fighter, the classic arcade, and Loaded, which is a bit of a shooting game, bit of a fun, a bit of gore. That's what we all wanted as a kid. Of course, Sega Rally was awesome. I remember playing the original arcade, and Virtual Fighter 2. Awesome games, but these were really popular over in Japan on the original arcade units. And I remember seeing the original arcades in like fairgrounds and things like that. But what really made me do a video, because recently I managed to pick up a nice big purchase. I was actually contacted by the owner of Tiny Rebel Bar, which is based here in my area of Newport. Great bar and awesome food. I do recommend checking that place out. But he contacted me saying, we got a bunch of games we found in the attic. I seen your stuff, and they contacted me via email. So I was like, what games you got? Why is that in a bar up in the attic? They were just like, it must have been a error in the delivery somewhere down the line, but we found these and we thought we'd be interested. So coming from these, how many? 4 PAL games, this is what was all together in this box. Here's some more, some more. Got a Sealy. Don't like these big fat cases. Almost done. Here we go. There's some pretty tidy games here. So yeah, let's get rid of this. Now when it comes to the console here in the UK and America, the library isn't that great, but when you consider it as a Japanese console, the library expands to over 900 exclusive games that we never got. So it's pretty exciting to get into and find out what we all missed out on. Now there are some big trade-offs when using Japanese games comparing to the original PAL. One thing is definitely the case designs. If you ever pick these up in the wild, you always find the cardboard a bit loose, and well, this one's not too bad, I guess, but these clips that hold the CDs, they always seem to be a bit snapped, and this is always peeling. The design for the PAL ones are not that great, and I think in America they did get the dual CD, but with the CD cases they do seem to last a lot better. For instance, the packaging is so much better over in Japan. If we open up this one, for example, Alas Bronx, you'll see it comes with like slips and stuff. Not really sure what this one is. Issue number of the game released. And what else we got? Got these little posters. I remember these being in the Dreamcast games as well when you pick them up over here. We got some stickers. We got like a massive map indicating all the special moves for the characters on the game. Oh, I don't want to damage it. Sick. That's a pretty awesome poster. And they all came with the spine card. Oh, I don't want to move that one. It hasn't been moved. You see inside, you got these spine cards that will go on here. They would just kind of look nicer displaying when selling these. And a manual. And something else. You are definitely getting more bang for your buck back in the day, especially comparing it to what we get these days with the PlayStation 5 and the Xbox Series games. So there are definitely benefits when collecting for the Sega Saturn and going for the Japanese variant. Oh yeah, and another thing. Sonic Wings. Some of these games do come with cool little mini CDs, so you can pop this into your CD player and it normally would have the audio of the game. I know, I'm pretty excited. I'm still new to all this. It is, man, so cute. At the time of its release in Japan, the Saturn was the most powerful home console on the market, beating that release of the PlayStation 1. The specs between the PlayStation 1 and the Saturn on paper, the Saturn is winning in the power department. The PlayStation 1 having a 132 MHz processor and the Saturn having two 28.6, accumulating to about 57.2 MHz. Also providing a 1.5 meg RAM compared to the PlayStation 1 video RAM. But the full use of the processors for the Saturn was hardly ever tapped into due to its complexity. The main strength of the PlayStation 1 was how it was handling the transparency layers, making some 3D base game titles looking and running just ever so slightly better. The key element to the Saturn was its upgradable RAM slot. It was mentioned early in development that the cartridge slot would be used as backwards compatibility for Mega Drive games, but that was later scrapped for extendable memory and RAM, even up to 4 times extra RAM. At the time of the release of this console, there were 2 RAM upgrade cartridges. One was 1 meg and the other was 4 meg, giving us gamers close to perfect arcade ports. These would normally be bundled with the game that needed this extra RAM, or you could purchase it separately. The console already has memory built in for you to save your games, which was a great strength compared to the PlayStation, who had to buy the memory card separately. What has been around now for a fair few years is these all-in-one solution cartridges, combining memory expansion, action replay cheat codes, and a switch between 1 meg and 4 meg mode. Also, it unlocks region free so you can play all your imports as well as backups, a Saturn owner must. When combining this with Retrobit's awesome wireless Saturn controller, which I purchased about a year ago, with a level height HDMI adapter available at Right Sprite Web Store, link below, this does really bring this console back to life. There are other great accessories that came out at the time of this console, some including a net play adapter as well, perhaps one of the best controllers ever released, the 3D controller, just in my opinion, which went ahead and inspired the Dreamcast controller. There is also a VCD card upgrade as well you could pop in the back of your console, which enables VCD support, a video media type of format before the DVD player, quite popular over in Japan, but also enhancing some video quality playback on a handful of titles. When you start to even compare the same game that was released on the PlayStation 1, the Saturn version of the game was noticeably designed better, holding extra modes, better design levels on some titles, including further steady frame rates, when playing certain titles that were designed specifically with a 2.5D design. as this is what is the console's sweet spot, especially having that expandable RAM. This gained more room for 2D work than the PlayStation, as well as some titles had a feature to have network support as well. So with PlayStation 1 versions of 2.5D games, they would normally feature smaller sprites, longer load times, as well as frame rate dips. Now when you start to venture into the Japanese side of the Sega Saturn, this does open a lot more, and of course, as I mentioned earlier, with its 900 Japanese exclusive games. The PAL UK and European console has a 50Hz output, whilst the Japanese is running at 60Hz outputs like the North American, giving you that extra around 15% more frames, with games running smoother and how they were originally intended to be designed in the first place. Oh, when it comes to explaining the 50Hz and 60Hz differences, it's better explained in a previous video I did with my modded Mega Drive. If you want to check that out, that is just up there, and also you'll find that in the description box below. Here in the UK, we had two models, one of them being Model 1 and the other being, yeah, got it. Personally, the Japanese variant had perhaps one of the best design consoles out there, just my opinion. And if you are looking to get one yourself, you will also have to purchase a step down power converter due to this power voltage differences over here, or you might find you just blow the power board like I awesomely did a fair few years back. With the console having unique exclusives, better ports, a Japanese collection that has never been released in the PAL zones, that the majority of them do have English language running better in 60Hz, as well with the emulation performance really still having trouble these days due to the console's architecture. The Japanese Saturn, I found this to be a great console to look back and get into, especially for retro gamers because of its 2.5D nature of gaming being a lot more enjoyable and still playable today than heading back to any console in that generation. So my interest for this console has definitely been lifted thanks to Tiny Rebel contacting me and sorting me out with these games. They did sort me out with a good deal, so much appreciated and thanks for that again. So I hope you guys have enjoyed this video and got a better understanding on this console. And as always, if you like this video, hit that button. If you want to help and support, click subscribe, leave the comments below, and I catch you lot on the next video.